It's Soul Sunday at Spirit and Soul Studio, and today we are talking about not accepting the world around us. This is something that has changed my life, and I didn't realize I was actually doing it until one day it kind of hit me. And I think as I was reading certain books and understanding that I didn't have to accept the things in my life that didn't actually make me feel good, that I could change them. And not even that didn't make me feel good. I mean, that's kind of where I started, but accepting like everything that I didn't like. I'm like, okay, I have a choice. I don't have to accept that I feel like I don't have a lot of time. I don't have to accept that I feel like money's tight. I don't have to accept that as my reality. And this is all about truly creating a reality that you want to see. This is something I'm so passionate about because we think that we don't have control over our reality. We think everything outside of us dictates our world and what it looks like. If you don't have the right job, if you don't have the right body type, if you don't have the right thoughts, if you don't have the right certain things, that your life looks a certain way. And yes, your thoughts do create your reality. Your actions also create your reality, and the way that you show up in life creates your reality. So if you can start to really mold those thoughts and start to understand that you don't have to accept anything that you don't actually like, and really change your world for the better, you will be limitless. And that's what it comes down to. So let's start diving into all of this today. So let's talk about a big one that comes up for people, and that's time. This came up for my son Nico yesterday. We had family over for the weekend, and he was so upset when they left, crying, and just he was seriously in a depression for like I want to say all night, honestly, all night, just sad and crying. And I see him again and he's sad. I'm like, why are you still sad? And he's like, and then he looked at me and he said, Mommy, I'm sad because whenever I'm having fun, time goes by so fast. And I said to him, did you ever hear that saying, time flies when you're having fun? And he said, yeah, and I don't like it. And I said, so change it. And he said, well, how? How do I change time? And I said, you change time by starting to get really intentional about your time. And now, yes, my son is going to be 8 years old in October. And this is the way I talk to him. This is the way I've always talked to Gavin. I talk to them as if they can completely understand. And maybe they can't follow 100%, but one day they will, and they'll get all of the conversations that we had previously. So understand that, you don't have to dumb things down for your kids. Just talk normal as you would normally talk to anybody else, right? As you talk to me if you came into Spirit and Soul, what conversation would we have? Talk to them that way. Use those words, use manifesting, and then you're going to see one day that they're using the word manifesting and that they're saying, I'm creating my reality. You're going to see that. And that's going to be with them forever. Okay, a little side note. But yeah, I said you have to start getting intentional with it. And he said, well, how? And I said, well, okay, you are magical. Don't forget that. And as a magical being, you can actually take time and make it longer. You can elongate time. And the way that you do that is, one, you have to be present in the moment that you're in. And I said to him, Nico, you are not usually present in the time of things when you're having fun. You're thinking about the next thing, and then the next thing you're going to do, and the next thing you're going to do, and then you're thinking about when that fun is going to end. This is how he is. And I know a lot of us are like that. It's okay, well, this is going to end soon. When is the other shoe going to drop? Right? I only have X amount of time. How can I get all these things done? And it's you have to stay in the moment of the things that you're doing, and you can actually take time and start to make it longer. And then what I said to him was, you have to look at, I want you to start talking to the universe. Whenever something fun is going to happen, I want you to talk to the universe and say, universe, God, whatever words you want to say. I have 24 hours of fun ahead of me. And in that 24 hours, I want it to feel like a week. I want it to feel as long as a week would feel. And I said, you have to start asking for that. And when you ask for that, you're going to start to see that time feels longer. That, maybe you glance at the clock and you're like, oh, it's only 11. It's only 1, right? And meanwhile, you've been playing this whole time. And it feels like you've been playing for hours and hours and hours. And maybe it's only been 30 minutes. And this is something that we can do as well. This is something I do all the time. And I actually said this to Nico. I said, what do you think I do with you guys? I don't want, this time with you as kids to pass quickly. And I started to notice this with Nico, because with Gavin, I wasn't super intentional with time or life yet. I didn't really have that second awakening yet. So time felt like it flew a little bit more quickly with Gavin. And then Nico was born, and I had my second awakening. I was getting into it all, and I decided that time was going to go by very slowly. For me, that time was going to be something that was elongated. Time was going to be something that my time with my children did not fly by, like with them as kids, did not fly. I didn't wish days away. I never said, even in the hard moments, I can't wait for this to be over. I can't wait I was very intentional about not saying those things, because I wanted that time, even if it felt hard in the moments. I knew that they were short-lived, that they wouldn't always be like that. So I learned to work with it, and I learned to not let it get to my nervous system so deeply. And that was intentional, right? Like, that was something that I had to work on, because if you are a parent, you know that no matter how amazing and how great your kids are, you have hard moments. You have hard moments when they're infants, you have hard moments when they're toddlers, and you have hard moments in every single stage of life. And we have to learn to really sit with it and not allow it into the nervous system, and at the same time not wish our time away. So I'm going to say this for those people that are in a job that you don't like, and you're wishing for the weekends always. So you're always working for the weekend, right? Just like that song, everybody's working for the weekend, right? Like, you don't want to do that. Like, there is another way. And the fact is that if you are always working for the weekend, then you're not living in those 5 days. You're losing, basically, let's say 4.5 days. You're losing. Maybe even more. Maybe it is 5 days, because then half of Sunday you're getting a case of the Mondays. You're like dreading the week starting. And I used to be that person, so like I understand that. However, if you're in a job that you don't like, you have every ability to change that. And I wish that somebody told me this a long time ago. I wish that I could see another way, because when I was in corporate America and I was really in the thick of it, and I did not like the job that I was in, you know what? My best friend did say it over and over again. She was like, this isn't normal. Leave. You should leave. And I'm like, I'm not going to another job, in the same industry. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to continuously go back to something I don't like. And then I don't know what I want to do. And I got stuck in I don't know what I want to do. And do you know how many years passed? Close to 20. 20. That's a long time. I mean, now, to be fair, about 5 of those years, I was intentional and working towards leaving, maybe a little less than that. But that's a really long time to sit in something that is actually not for you. And I did it. And do I regret it? No, I have no regrets. But if I would have seen things differently, Maybe life would have started a little bit sooner with that awakening. Maybe we can go back in time and say, if only, if only. Okay, I didn't make that choice. I'm here. I'm living that life now. The life that I dreamed of, I'm living it now. I do have freedom, and I asked for freedom, right? So, like, I have a lot of these things, but that wasn't always that way. So, I'm saying to you now, there is another job. Not every job, like I was told that the job security at this particular place was so great that during so many recessions and so many panicked bank situations that that we were stable, that we survived. I actually witnessed it. I did survive through those things. So it gave you a trust factor, but at the end of the day, like, that bank has issues. That at the end of the day, they went through something, and that was scary, for the people that I do know that are still there. Did they come out the other side? Yes. Okay. So they still are living up to that, but there were scary moments. So nothing is set in stone, and you have every capability of changing your life, whether you know what that is or not. Like, if you're like me at the time who did not know the direction of life that I wanted to go into, just take a step. Take a step, like, sit for a moment. I never did that. I never actually, like, I would say, well, I don't know what I want to do, but I would actually never, like, when I think about it now, I would never actually sat and tried to figure out what that thing was. Never. Because I was also told that I couldn't make money doing something I loved. So I'm like, all right, well, if I can't make money doing something and I believed it. So if I can't make money doing something, because I had in my mind big dreams for my life that required a bigger dollar amount to live. I wanted to feel financial freedom. I wanted to be able to go on wonderful vacations, beautiful, luxurious vacations. And I was doing those things, and I didn't want to give it up. Right? I mean, like, there was a security thing there. So I'm hearing, all right, well, yeah, you can't make money doing something that you love. I'm like, okay, like, all right, so I'm not going to do anything. So what else would I do? Nothing. I might as well just stay here, and, like, I know what I'm in for. I like the people, so I might as well just stay. And that perpetuated and perpetuated and perpetuated. Understand that you have every capability of taking that next step, of just trying something new, of sitting, like, getting intentional, something I never did at that time. Get intentional with what would feel good. I didn't know at that time that I could create my reality, that I could do something that I loved and make money from it. True, like a beautiful living, beautiful, from something that I loved. I didn't know it then. And I wish that I had read it. I wish that I was in that time frame. So now I'm here to tell you. I'm here to tell you that you can do it, that is possible for you. And in order to start creating the reality that you want to see, you have to learn to take control of life, of not accepting the things that the life that you've already created. So if you're in a relationship that you don't love, that you're not feeling loved in, well, how are you expressing yourself? Are you actually sticking up for yourself? Right? Like, are you trying to work with that person, or are you just keeping it all inside thinking that they should know better? Honey, let me tell you something, they don't. If you're unhappy, they don't know that unless you're saying it. And you're saying exactly why. Like, we have to stop this bullshit of, trying to think that people can read our minds and that they know what we want. That's not fair. That's not fair to anybody. And I know as women, we can tend to do this. I used to do this with Andrew. And now I'm like, I tell him, like, this is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. And he is now very aware. So we don't have these miscommunications anymore at all, ever. Even down to, like, going to the supermarket. Like, if you're ever at Spirit and Soul when Andrew is at the supermarket, you have seen me answer the phone 1 million times. 1 million. Because he's trying to get it right. He's trying to meet my expectations, because too many times he went and came back with all the wrong things and had to go back out again. So now I'm also aware, and I don't get annoyed when he does go to the supermarket, because I'm like, he's trying to do the right thing and it's going to make my life easier. So start expressing yourself. Start using that throat chakra. Whatever you are asking for, you are worthy of. Okay? You are worthy of feeling love. You are worthy of respect. You are worthy of a love that lights you up, that brings you passion. You're worthy of that, of a respectful love. So if it's not doing it for you, first, don't just jump ship unless that's what you want to do, then you go for it. But honestly, I think that whenever you're in a relationship with somebody, I think the respectful thing to do is to try to work it out, unless there was some massive transgression that you're just like, you can't look past. But have the conversations. Start to shift the reality. Just because you're in something now doesn't mean you're in it forever. So you can change that. So if you want the most amazing love story in the world with the person you're with, start to write it. Like, you are the author of your life. And so many times we are not playing the main character. We're allowing life to happen to us. We are the victim all the time. We don't love our jobs. We don't love our relationships. We don't, my parents didn't love me the way that I needed to. These people don't love me the way I need. Okay. All right. That's the hand you're dealt, right? Like, we have so many traumas. We have so many things. We live in a society that tells us that we have to look a certain way and be a certain way and do certain things. Why do we do it? We're accepting a reality that is like conditioned for us. We're not allowing ourselves to break free from that. And that conditioning is actually keeping you down. And that's sometimes even the conditioning of that parental, energy, right? Like, I have, oh, this is my mom, this is my dad, and like, this is how they are. And okay, but like, why are you accepting that? Like, set up some boundaries, start to create the space so that you are protecting your peace, and you can do that. And if it hurts someone's feelings, well, why can they be uncomfortable but you can't? Like, you want to be comfortable in your life. You want to feel good. And yes, we are going to always be put in uncomfortable situations. We are meant to grow. Like, we are going to have challenges in life, and that's okay. But it is what you do with it. So if you have an uncomfortable parent situation, an uncomfortable sibling situation, other family members, relationships, whatever it is, you have to start to redefine them. And you may be the only person that's redefining it, right? Like, sometimes we can't, there's no talking to a parent. There's no talking to a family member, right? They don't understand where you're coming from. So that doesn't mean that you just roll over and take it. It means that you start to then shape your relationship differently in something that feels good and or tolerable, right? Because we don't want to just write people off. I mean, sometimes we have to, but for our own peace. But we don't really want to do that. So if that's the case, how do we redefine the relationship? So remember, this is continuously coming back to you, continuously, over and over again. It's your choice of what type of life you want to live and how you want it to feel. If you are not comfortable with your money situation, always feeling the victim around money, always feeling like, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, you're creating a reality of not enoughness. You're creating that. It doesn't matter how much your paycheck is. When do you actually sit back and say, hey, like, I have a roof over my head. I would like always find money to pay my rent or pay my mortgage. I always have food on the table. And, I always am able to like go out with a friend and or like I can get a Starbucks or, right? Like start to see that abundance is actually all around you, because whatever you actually want, it is available to you. Like truly, truly, it's available if it's meant for you. Or sometimes the resource that we need is not money. Sometimes it's not cash in the bank. Maybe it's a credit card. Maybe it was points that you want to go away and it's points on from your credit card. Maybe it's points like travel miles that you got from your whatever. Like, and a lot of times we just look to the bank account for money, for the abundance. Meanwhile, we had what we needed all along. So there's so many incredible ways for you to start creating this reality. But if you continue to have the same thoughts, you are going to continue to create the same reality. So you have to change your thoughts in order to change the outcome of your life. So you have to really change that and be intentional with changing the thought patterns, right? So what are the ways that you can start to shift those thought patterns? Well, you're going to have the thought immediately come up. It is a habit now. So now you're creating a new habit. So if the old habit is there's never enough money, I always feel like I don't have enough. I always feel like my bank account is low. And if you now every time you have that thought, you immediately you witness it and then shift it immediately to abundance is all around me. Right? Like the fact that I'm able to pay my mortgage and the fact that I'm able to keep food, to put food on my table, an abundance of food, right? Maybe you're getting all organic food, right? So it's a little bit more expensive, but all of those things are available to you and you have them. My goodness, how abundant are you? How abundant, right? Like you have your Stanley water cup and you've got your, I don't know, all the things. You're driving around in your car. Like, how abundant are you? Start to shift it as not taking these things for granted, right? Like don't take it for granted that you get to drive a car. Don't take it for granted that that the universe always provides you to pay your mortgage, right? Like start to find the gratitude for all of those things. And all of those things will continue to show up in the most beautiful, incredible ways. Like all of a sudden, you're going to see the abundance, 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 where you're not even having that thought anymore because you see life differently. Life is differently. You do have more money in your bank account because you're no longer in victim mindset. So you're no longer in not enoughness. Okay. This is money. Same thing with love, right? If you are looking for love right now and you're trying to find your soulmate, well, if you continue to go out and you say there's not enough, there's no good people out there, all the good people are taken, I'm telling you, you're going to continue to see that. So if you say like my person is out there for me, I love me, so that means that I'm radiating love, and that love will bring in my person, my perfect person. If you start to think like that and shift that mindset, you're going to start to see a massive difference. So I just finished Bringers of the Dawn. It's, oh my gosh, so good. But if we turn to page 88, page 88 says, you have come to alter and remove the frequency of limitation and to bring in the frequency of information. When you are informed, meaning information comes in through light. So when you are informed, you move beyond the need to be in fear. When you feel uninformed and out of control, you do not understand the bigger picture. Each of you came to awaken something inside yourself, inside the coding of your being, the DNA, and you are responding to it. This is why you are on a search in all directions of your life. You and multitudes of others have begun the mutation process on the planet. So we're shifting the planet out of this victim mindset and bringing more light to it. As we mutate electromagnetically, you alter your frequency or the tune that you broadcast. You will eventually outgrow the frequency that holds you down and continuously blasts you with chaos and confusion. Sound familiar? Eventually, when you alter, carry, and maintain your own frequency, you will vibrate differently and thus affect everyone around you. They will feel the availability of this frequency alteration, which will then move like a wave around the planet. So it talks about, it continues to go and saying that this is like a domino effect. And the more that you step into your power, the more that you see your own light, the more that you no longer subscribe to just the things being given to you and start to shift out of that, because you remember your magic. You remember that you are magic, just like what I said to Nico yesterday, right? Like, you are magic. Remember, you're a magical being. Like, we always have to come back to this, always. So we say, wow, I am magic. And that means that I can wave my wand and create the reality, but I got to be clear about it. I got to see the reality that I want. I have to understand it. And then I have to really broadcast that clearly. I have to do it from an informed place. And an informed place is not from a place of a victim. The informed place is from that place that I remember that I am magic. That is the informed place. So every day, all throughout the day, you have to remember that you are a magical being and that you are perfect the way that you are. Okay? And the more that you work through the things that you feel are shadowy and imperfect about yourself, the more you work through them and see that, okay, I can accept that. Okay, this happened to me and it was really shitty, but at the same time, I can accept. I can accept what happened and no longer make it mine, no longer make it shape who I am and how I show up in the world, right? Like, you can start to make these shifts and these changes, and that changes your frequency, and your frequency then vibrates higher, and you're bringing more light onto the planet. And then suddenly you're magnetizing, law of attraction is kicking in, and you're magnetizing the things that you've been asking for, the things that you thought were just like this pipe dream, or like that could never happen, or that you're seeing other people live and feel that bit of envy. All of a sudden those things are happening for you because you're making the conscious shifts and you're breaking out of the mold. You're breaking out of what everybody around you tells you that you have to do and the life that you should be living. Because the only life that you should be living is a life that feels good for you, is a life that lights you up. That's the only life you should be living. Everything else is something for you to grow through and go through, okay? But to not take on and to get out of. This is something that I keep in my mind all the time, constantly. Like, that's not my reality. That's not my reality. Nope. Don't accept. I don't accept that. So how do I show up differently to start to shift that? So if you can start to do that, I can guarantee you, watch your life change. Watch your life start to feel so good, and that you start to bring into your life the most amazing, magical things. So your homework this week, again, shift the reality. What is one step that you can do to start to change the frequency, your frequency? What's one thing that you can do that gets you out of the mold? One small step, a big step. I mean, you take it where you want it to go. It's your reality, remember? All right. I hope that you have an incredible week and that you enjoyed this Soul Sunday episode, and I will see you next week.